people lose control of their airplane. As a result of losing control of their airplane, they exceed V&E, and thus eventually VD. Flutter is a potential problem, but the problem that many pilots experience is when they accelerate the airplane to high speeds, pulling back on the elevator controls can overstress the wings. And when you think about it, an A-36 Bonanza can accelerate from 200 to 300 miles per hour in about 6 seconds, nose down. Left to its own, nose down, in a spiral, 200 to 300 miles per hour in about 6 seconds. It's an incredibly clean airplane. You fly into a cloud, let's say, hopefully this is not you but somebody else, hopefully nobody else, but this typically does happen. Person flies into the cloud, they're not instrument competent, they lose control of their airplane, or perhaps the turbulence is so bad that it causes them to lose control of their airplane. That's a possibility. And as a result of that, the airplane spirals out of control, they pop out the side of the cloud, they see the ground or the bottom of the cloud, they pull back and overstress the wings on their airplane. And that's why you can easily bend a wing on an airplane or induce flutter, divergent flutter, which can be very dangerous. We'll get back to flutter in a second. In a P210, to pull 1 G takes about 20 pounds of force on the elevator control. In other words, an airplane of that size. In an A-36 Bonanza, to pull 1 G takes about 13 pounds of force on the airplane at the V&E range. So in a Bonanza, it's a whole lot easier to overstress an airplane than it is an airplane like a 206 or a P210 or something like that, right? Are you with me? So my point to you is this. People lose control of airplanes. Airplanes at high speeds can be overstressed. Divergent flutter can be a problem. And if that happens in an airplane, folks, you have to regain your speed. You have to regain control of the speed of an airplane. And the essence there is this. The essence of a solution to the problem is doing one thing that was actually written in the Bonanza Owner's Manual. Actually, it was the Baron Owner's Manual many, many years ago, and that is this. In an airplane, if you lose control of the speed for whatever reason, reach over and put the what down? The gear, exactly. Put the gear down. Because putting the gear down slows the airplane down and helps regain control of the airplane speed. Very simple thing, but it does work. Fortunately, in the 172 version, the fixed gear aircraft, the gear is already down for you, which is really kind of neat. So the issue there is that John Frank said that the Cessna 172 nose down probably won't exceed its terminal velocity because it has struts and because it's sort of a bulky type of aircraft, right? So in this sense, even if you wanted to, you probably couldn't, in other words, if you were to say today I'm going to go up and I'm going to take that 172 and I'm going to dive it down till the wings come off in the airplane. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Even if you wanted to, simply because the airplane is a very high drag profile airplane. So with that in mind, speed is an extremely important issue.
You've heard of this thing called WASP, right? The Wide Area Augmentation System lets you fly GPS glide path approaches without relying on ground-based landing aids. No VOR, no ILS, no problem. Fact is, WASP is so smart, it even knows what you're going to say next time you need it. And don't have it on board. Wah, I want my WASP now! I was really crying there for a second.
You know what divergent flutter is? Have you ever experienced that or ever heard of that term before? Yeah, divergent flutter is one of those things where two types of flutter. There's continuous flutter and divergent flutter. Divergent flutter is the dangerous one. It's a high-speed phenomenon. What happens with divergent flutter is this. The control surfaces on all your airplanes are balanced to the extent that at high speeds they don't vibrate. Now they're either dynamically balanced with weights or they're balanced in tension with wires and cables, like some of the old Bonanzas were. And in those aircraft, if for some reason the control surfaces, ailerons, elevator, or rudder become unbiased because of, let's say, ice on the controls or loose control cables, then what happens is at higher speeds, the control surfaces can start to vibrate. When the control surfaces start to vibrate, such as the trim tab or the actual control surface, the elevator, rudder, or aileron, then what it can do is it can drive and create an harmonic oscillation in the actual surface it's connected to, and the amplitude to continue to increase and increase, and can eventually rip that control surface right off the airplane. That is can rip the actual thing it's attached to right off the airplane. That is in aviation what we call a bad thing. So the way to solve a problem with flutter is this: to reach over, pull the throttle back, and load the surface. In other words, slide back on the elevator control, twist the aileron, and perhaps push the rudder just a little bit. You have to load the surface just a little bit. Now, the thing I want you to know about flutter is this. Flutter is a high-speed phenomenon. And I'm going to make a very general statement here that should cover all problems associated with high-speed phenomena or extreme vibration. There are only two things on the airplane that can cause extreme vibration. Flutter of a control surface is one. The other one is what? Unbalanced prop, or something dealing with the vertiginous energy of the engine, the rotating energy of the engine. And so if you experience extreme vibration, dynamic or divergent flutter, number one, or such as you have a broken prop tip, as an example, or perhaps a piston left your airplane. That would be a very bad thing, actually. Passengers normally tell you when a piston left your airplane, because they go, oh, look, there goes our piston. And they immediately become the piston tracking device. Oh, look, there it is. It's falling down. Oh, like, don't we need that? And that's what they say. The thing with experiencing extreme vibration, the thing you have to do is reach over and do what? Pull back the throttle. Obviously, with a broken propeller tip, a bad engine, or severe engine problem, or divergent flutter, what did I say? Pull back the throttle, and then do what? Your natural response is to what? Load the control surface a little bit of opposite aileron, and a little bit of rudder. In this instance, what you want to do is change the weight bias or the force bias on the control surface, thereby helping reduce flutter. The objective is to slow the airplane down, and pulling the throttle back does that. But with extreme vibration, propeller tip or something like that, missing, throttle's got to come back immediately. Extreme vibration means pulling that throttle back immediately as the first step in solving the problem. Are you with me? That'll take care of the divergent problem, the divergent flutter problem, if you get it quick enough.
Cirrus Design's Vision SJ50 single-engine personal jet offers exceptional fuel efficiency, flexible seating for up to 7, advanced avionics, and all the Cirrus safety features you expect, including the Cirrus airframe parachute system. With its detailed design, the Cirrus Vision is technologically advanced, yet engineered to be simple to fly, to allow owner pilots more lifestyle pursuits than any other personal aircraft. Learn more about the Vision SJ50 at cirrusdesign.com.
Well, first of all, in the pre-flight, you want to make sure you run your hands over the propeller to make sure there are no obvious large dings or dents in the propeller. And you know, one rock, folks, can take a big chunk out of that propeller. It's serious, serious stuff. And you should have, if you find an obvious ding or dent in the propeller, you should have it feathered. Should you, in other words, with a file, can you feather the propeller there? In other words, file out that ding or dent. Is that something that you can do? Technically, it should be done by a mechanic. And there are many good reasons for that, because when you take a little off this side, you should always take what? Little off the other side. Just common sense stuff. But on occasion, a propeller blade will fracture. It's very rare to have an entire blade come off, and that's serious. And obviously, that got your attention really quick. Solution to the problem, pull the throttle back. An entire blade coming off can create such asymmetric loads that it can literally rip the engine right off the airplane. That's why some small racing airplanes, they put chains around the engine mount and the airframe, so that in the event, because of the high loads induced during racing, these small chains will hold the airplane onto the engine in the event something like that happens. So pulling the throttle back is immediately very important. More likely, you'll have a piece of the propeller tip coming off the airplane, 6 inches, 7 inches, something like that. The loading or the asymmetric loading, the vibration can be incredibly severe. Reach over, pull the throttle back. That's the way you handle that problem. The question is, can you continue to operate the engine after that? And the answer is most likely no. Now, if it's a small enough chunk, maybe, most likely no. And therefore, it becomes now an emergency landing situation. What about the entire propeller coming off the airplane? Has anybody ever had that happen before? Yeah, it's very rare. In 1% of all propeller blade accidents, the entire propeller blade comes right off the airplane. I mean, can you imagine you're flying along, Bob, look, there goes our propeller. Call a tower. Tell them we're number 2 now.